I've never considered myself as part of a fandom. Sure, there's movies and shows that I like, and there are games that I like, but I never grouped myself in with other people that like them. I tend to enjoy things separately and find my own things, or find my own meaning to media. But there is one exception. When I was but a boy, my grandma gave me a game for the Wii, Monster Hunter Tri, and I fell in love instantly. The goofy characters, the world, the monsters. Sure, it made me unreasonably angry at times, being one of the harder games from an already difficult franchise, but that didn't stop me. And fun fact, not only did I beat this notoriously hard game from this notoriously hard franchise as a little kid, but I beat it with one of the weakest armor sets because I was too stupid to realize that I could continue making better, stronger armor sets. So from Great Jaggy to Cedius with Hunter's armor. Yeah. From then on, I played as many of the games as I could and became a somewhat outspoken fan of the series. Every title the Monster Hunter team puts out is dripping with passion and heart. They always go the extra mile with their games, and it shows. It's not like it hasn't paid off or anything either. So when I saw that Monster Hunter was getting a movie made for it, I was hyped. Surely it would have the same amount of attention to detail as the games. Surely it wouldn't disrespect the source material and get things embarrassingly wrong. Oh, what's that? It's directed by the same guy that made those bad to mediocre Resident Evil movies. Also, sorry if the video quality of the actual movie clips looked like garbage. I bought and paid for the movie, but neither the disc nor the digital key worked, which I think counts as a scam. So I pirated it in low quality. Yes, I will admit to committing a literal crime, but the movie did it first, so it's okay. Also, I'm just going into the editing process, and I know this isn't gonna be like a lot of the movie reviews here on YouTube, but I really don't want you to be subjected to garbage clip quality, so I'm just going to be putting clips from me playing Monster Hunter World in. We start off with a quote. What does it mean? I don't know. My guess is it's there for the gamers in the audience to point at and be like, oh, that's just like the video game. With the quote out of the way, we get to see cool stuff. Don't get used to it. The Research Commission is riding a sand ship across the desert when an angry Black Diablos attacks. Black Diablos does what Black Diablos does best and gores anything that breathes. So far, pretty accurate. At some point, Tony Jaa, a major character and one of the only good parts of this movie, falls out of the boat. You know, this looks kinda cool. Maybe I was being a little harsh on the movie before. Maybe this is going to be a fun time. Anyways, scene transition and hello US military. Yup, they made it one of those. So, fun fact, if you're making a movie and your script portrays the US military in a positive light, it has a chance to receive funding from the Pentagon if they like the script. I don't know if that makes the Monster Hunter movie literal propaganda, but that sentence is just so funny to me, so I'm just gonna believe it is. Also, real recognize real. Paul W.S. Anderson. If I was told to make a movie about something I didn't give a f*** about, I too would try to milk it for every last possible cent, no matter the resulting quality. So Milla Jovovich, Milla
Jovovich. Milla Jovovich.
And the US military are out driving through the single least interesting landscape on planet Earth, talking about who cares. When hijinks ensue and real-world people are teleported to the video game universe. How creative. I've never seen this before. At least they're out of the real world now. I guess this means they're headed to the world of Monster Hunter. Now, this is pretty exciting. The Monster Hunter world has some of the most beautiful, vibrant ecosystems, each with an incredible amount of depth to them. It is teeming with some of the most unique and incredible landscapes and creatures, both large and small. So where do you think they're going? The Ancient Forest? The Coral Highlands? The Rotten Vale? Yeah, you already know the punchline. Yes, it's another desert. It's not even the Wildspire Waste though. Where are the wildspires and the marshes? I thought this took place in the New World. At least this desert doesn't make me feel dehydrated to look at. So
Milla Jovovich.
Alongside generic military grunts, explore, and then boom. Black Diablos. The Black Diablos does what God intended it to do and f***ing kills them. At least it doesn't eat them like it would have before
Milla Jovovich
reminded her husband that Diablos is, in fact, an herbivore. I don't have the eye to spot out good CGI, so whether this is good CGI or bad CGI, I don't know. It looks good to me, but I'm not a huge movie watcher, so I wouldn't know. They then go hide and the tip of Diablos' horn breaks off. Good job, guys. You can now return from the quest and forge the Diablos hammer. The downtime doesn't last long as there's a giant spider, which I think is supposed to be a shrouded Nerscylla. It's really dark and it doesn't have the same exaggerated yellow spines. Hey Tony Jaa, who is this? Okay. The movie then make-believes up some lore where Nerscylla lives in these colossal mega colonies, and our protagonist has to do a stealth mission to get out. I like how instead of killing them and eating them instantly, the Nerscylla instead tie them up to eat later and lay eggs in them, which is actually pretty accurate. Would have been more accurate if it skinned them alive and wore their flesh as a hood, but we can't always have nice things. When
Milla Jovovich
escapes, she has to deal with the back pain of carrying all her husband's movies. She discovers that the Nerscylla are like every League player I've met in my life and have a distinct aversion to going outside and feeling sunlight. We get a shot of the surroundings, and we get one of the coolest 10-second scenes in this movie. Black Diablos is fast, angry, and hormonal, and can sense the tiniest vibrations of an intruder from miles away. Seeing Monster Hunter monsters act like how they're supposed to act and not just bloodthirsty killing machines that change whenever the plot wants them to is nice. Eventually we find ourselves on a fleet of sand ships. Tony Jaa does what any Sigma male does and threatens a random stranger's life. We then have fighting between our two leads. Also, how is this regular world human keeping up? Hunters from Monster Hunter have superhuman strength, can perform unheard of acrobatic feats, and fight, gods. Join the US Marines and you too can kill God. Tony Jaa drinks H2O and crafts a potion, and then prays to whichever creator of the Monster Hunter universe. Milla Jovovich. Okay, I'm recording this right now. I cannot explain just how much I'm struggling saying her name. I know I'm saying it incorrectly, but it's even hard to say her name incorrectly. I go to say the name and my brain just stops. I think I'm just gonna record the AI voice.
Milla Jovovich
Then gets a critical hit and knocks Tony Jaa out. Scene transition and they fight some more.
Milla Jovovich
Then desecrates a grave, which causes, you guessed it, more fighting. Even though there are like 20 unnecessary fights between the characters in this movie, at least the choreography is cool.
Milla Jovovich
Then saves Tony Jaa from being game-ended and feeds him chocolate, which causes me to nose exhale. With
Milla Jovovich
as bait, they try to lure out a Nerscylla to try and extract a sweet, sweet sleep sack. Why did only one Nerscylla come out instead of 100? I don't know. Oh, there they are. They were simply waiting patiently for our protagonist to get what they needed. Tony Jaa prays to Ryozo Tsujimoto again, and we get the one and only relatively emotional scene of the entire movie. I said it once and I'll say it again. This movie is carried by these two phenomenal actors. We then get a crafting and training montage where
Milla Jovovich
practices with what the Clutch Claw should have been. As it turns out, she is a dual blades main. Finally, it is time to start monster hunting. They put on their challenger mantles and start luring Diablos to an army vehicle. When Diablos suddenly has dementia and loses track of our main characters.
Milla Jovovich
Decided not to play Monster Hunter and instead plays a third-person shooter. Shenanigans happen and
Milla Jovovich
has an accident. Tony Jaa comes to the rescue and J-Sui Montes the Diablos, putting a nice little window into its skull. Tony Jaa then has an anime moment which forces
Milla Jovovich
to carry him. Finally something to look at. Also Cephalos jumpscare. I don't know about you guys, but this new environment is gorgeous. It really doesn't feel like the people that designed the ancient forest designed the nondescript desert that we were just at. Part of me doesn't even think this takes place in the new world. Like, it has characters from the new world and it implies that it's in the new world, but why are there Cephalos and Nerscylla here? It also doesn't even have the features of the new world, like the ancient tree or the wild spires, or the giant rocky cliffs that house the Coral Highlands. It's like a weird half and half of new world and old world. Hello, Rathalos. Rathalos does what Rathalos is totally known to do and starts random forest fires just because he can. And what follows is my favorite scene in the movie. The Rathalos causes an Apsaros stampede, which is the opposite of what they do. Usually they form protective circles, but go off. Surprise Ron Perlman, who plays the Admiral in this story. He has a flame element greatsword that shoots flames, which isn't accurate to the games, but I'm going to take the movie side on this one. Elements in the games are worthless. Unless you waste all your time on a really obscure armor set that makes an element somewhat viable, elements are still just layered damage. The only utility in the games that I can think of for elements is water weapons putting out Lunostra's flames. Elements have not gotten changed in a meaningful way since their inception. Like, what if fire elements actually started fires? Or what if dragon elements had the ability to rob monsters of their elements like it's supposed to do? These are awful examples, I'm aware, but there's so many creative ways that this whole system can be used, and it's just not. I'm sure a lot of people are okay with just 2 extra damage per hit and a little fire effect, but I think there's so much more creative ways you can use elements. Anyways, I'm complaining about the wrong thing, so let's get back to dumb, stupid, doo-doo caca movie. The commission is here, and they're using their flames as a way to control the stampede, in a legitimately awesome scene. And then the handler shows up and everyone exits the cinema.
Mila Jovovich
Is knocked out for some reason and goes to horny jail. Hey look, it's Aiden from the good Monster Hunter movie. This whole scene is pretty pointless since she just becomes friends with everyone instantly after leaving. We do get to see the Meowscular Chef though, which is the true best part of the movie. They recreate the Meowscular Chef cooking cutscene from Monster Hunter World, which warmed my heart. If the movie had much more of this, it would have been so much better. But it's just a tonal disaster. They really did not understand the goofy tone of Monster Hunter at all. Even Monster Hunter DOS, which is, I would argue, the grittiest game in the series, even it, you could sometimes come home to a cat with an afro rummaging through your item box. This feels like they're making an entire movie off of the Metal Gear Solid crossover, which allegedly did happen. I appreciate a darker tone. Monster Hunter has been getting increasingly silly and not serious as time goes on, but this is way overdoing it. This is just, why can't it just have Monster Hunter's sense of humor, man? Why couldn't we have had a good movie? At least we got the cooking cutscene. This is one of the 2 scenes in the movie that truly acknowledges Monster Hunter World. You know, the game it's based on. They then talk about the Sky Tower and how it's the reason
Mila Jovovich
is in the Monster Hunter world.
That is what brought you here.
What happened to this ancient civilization?
They destroy themselves. Their technology turned on them.
There's a tiny semblance of truth in what Ron Perlman says here. There are remains of ancient civilizations all over the Monster Hunter world, and they did have advanced technology. I'm not going into the lore of Monster Hunter because I don't want this to be an 8-hour-long video, but it was not their own technology that destroyed ancient humanity. It was Fatalis and his buddies that got sick of humanity, so they torched everyone and sent them back to the Stone Age. We then have the most blaring case of movie making up its own lore, by saying Rathalos can only get hurt right before it breathes fire. At least the Meowscular Chef is here to save us from cringe. And so our heroes set out. And the Meowscular Chef catcalls
Mila Jovovich
and she's into it. What the f? They reach the Sky Tower and see the gateway back to the real world. For some reason, they brought their handlers to the battlefield with them. Also, Rathalos jump scare. People forget they have to roll 3 times to put out Fireblight, and then Rathalos gives the most telegraphed attack I've seen in my entire life.
Huh?
I swear, it feels like it was begging to die. Rathalos then strikes a Diablos pose, and we get actual monster hunting, and not just shenanigans and a killing blow. Also, Aiden f***ing dies, and so does the handler. Can someone tell me why the handlers are fighting?
Mila Jovovich
Gives tonsil surgery and then jumps off a cliff. Hello, human world. US military rescues,
Mila Jovovich
and then credits roll. Just kidding, Rathalos jump scare. Rathalos destroys stuff and kicks the military's asses, and I think this is a good time as any to point out that they got Rathalos' eye color wrong. We get a 6 shot of Rathalos peeling the wings off a jet and having its body get shot into the ground like a torpedo. After like 5 minutes of non-monster hunting, we get real monster hunting again. Also, what is this? Rathalos is one of the most intelligent wyverns. When he gets grappled onto, he just stands there and allows it to happen. Just a minute ago, he was going sicko mode on military jets, and now when someone grapples onto his wing in full line of sight with absolutely nothing else going on, he just stands there and watches. We then wait for arbitrary wind condition and take the shot. No, that's not how it works. Fire wyvern fluid only ignites when expelled into open air. There are 2 other monsters that can have their necks explode upon receiving enough punishment, and they chose one that doesn't happen to. Rathalos plays dead and jump scares Milla Jovovich, but Tony Jaa comes to the rescue. Surprise, he's here too. He uses his biblically accurate Kelby bow and kills Rathalos in 3.5 seconds. We then have funnies, and the saving graces of the movies are reunited. But Rutro, there's a new one, and this one is a little more dangerous than the last. We get the coolest action shot of the movie, and boom, it's over. Yup, they tease Gore Magala, and the credits roll. There's also a post-credits scene where the muscular chef joins the battle, which automatically bumps its rating by at least 10. So yeah, that was the Monster Hunter movie. Honestly, on rewatch, not quite as bad as I remember it. It's definitely not good. There are a lot of things that are just different for no reason. Some things are just blatantly wrong and the plot was generic. If I were to change it, I'd get rid of the propaganda, remove the real world aspect, and make the entire movie about Kulu Yaku stealing an Alatreon egg and starting the Second Dragon War. In 2024, there's going to be a sequel which hopefully will at least be a little bit better. Hopefully it'll be made with more respect to the source material and not include real world shenanigans. But I have a feeling it will. My theory is they fight Gore Magala. It has some arbitrary weakness that we never heard of. They'll immediately win the battle. It transforms into Shagaru Magala. They find a way to incorporate the real world. Monsters go to the real world, or people become frenzied because of Shagaru. They all win, the day is saved, and then boom, Fatalis appears. The 3rd movie drops in 2099, see you then. My name is Pake. Like the video, subscribe to the video. Sorry for good quality. I don't have any jokes. Outro.